Welcome to the Killer Author Club. 3 best-selling authors talking about killing, of the fictional kind, with the best thriller and suspense authors in the business. Killer conversations, killer cocktails, and killer guests, with your hosts, Kimberly Bell, Heather Gutenkopf, and Kara Ruda. This is the Killer Author Club.
Hello, and welcome to the Killer Author Club, your favorite haunt for all things murder, mystery, and mayhem. Tonight, we are so excited to welcome the one and only Chevy Stevens to the Killer Author Club hot seat. We have all the questions about the Hitchhikers, so buckle up and get ready to kill the lights. I'm Killer Heather Gutenkopf.
I'm Killer Chevy Stevens.
I'm Killer Kimberly Bell.
And I'm Killer Kara Ruda.
And before we dive into Chevy's book, a couple quick PSAs. Tonight's show will be available on your favorite podcasting app starting this Friday with exclusive added content only for podcast listeners. Links to download are at killerauthorclub.com. And make sure you are on our newsletter list. It's where we drop all the killer breaking news first, including our 2026 schedule. And it's a good one. That's right. Be the first to know which blockbuster names you can't wait to see, and we'll announce it in this month's newsletter. And that comes out, does that come out tomorrow?
Tomorrow morning, yeah.
Tomorrow morning. So get in there and subscribe to that right away. And speaking of breaking news,
Okay, so forgive us, you guys, but our alibi is blown. We've been conspiring in secret.
That's right. And the crime is writing a book together. Take Back the Night, aided and abetted by Park Row Books and HarperCollins.
the evidence, a twisty killer story, and this is only the beginning. Stay tuned for lots more details, including maybe a special episode about how 3 killers go about writing a book together. And now, Kimberly, will you please introduce our very special killer guest?
I would love to. Chevy Stevens lives on Vancouver Island with her husband and daughter. When she isn't working on her next book, she's spending time with her family and their 2 dogs. Her books, including Still Missing, which I loved, a New York Times bestseller and winner of the International Thriller Writers Award for Best First Novel, have been published in more than 30 countries. According to her Instagram bio, she is also a world-renowned napping champion. Chevy, welcome. And we have so many questions about the Hitchhikers. This book is amazing.
Thank you for having me.
Start by giving us a quick elevator pitch.
Sure. It's about a couple in the 1970s who are on an RV trip. They head up from Seattle and they're going to go across Canada. But their very first night, they run into a young couple on the run and they make the mistake of offering them a ride. And my short form, I call it a home invasion on wheels.
And I was telling Chevy before we came on, I was sweating while I was reading it.
It's terrifyingly good. How's that?
Yeah, I loved it. All right, so readers, get chatty and start dropping your questions in the comments for us to ask of Killer Chevy. But first, Kara, what are we drinking?
What are we drinking? Okay, tonight's killer has chosen coffee as her special drink. Not just any coffee. I believe there's a milk frother involved. Chevy, can you please tell us more about why you love this drink so much?
Sure. I'm not actually doing it with coffee tonight, though, just to throw a killer curve. I'm doing it with chai tea. But yeah, I discovered warm oat milk or like a frother, and I started frothing everything basically. And I don't drink alcohol really. So that's my choice tonight. And I'm using my I Scared the King cup. I don't know if it works backwards, but one of my a book club made me this cup because Stephen King gave me a quote. So my big claim to fame is that I scared Stephen King. So
love it.
Great claim to fame.
Yeah, so special drink in a special mug when I'm hanging out with a special crew.
Nice. We love it.
All right. So Let's do a cheers first because we have to
Yeah.
cheers to this amazing, amazing.
Cheers.
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 We
scared the
created the Killer Author Club so readers like you could get up close and personal with their favorite thriller writers. This season's lineup is stacked with killers. We've got Tessa Wiegert, Nicole Bart, me, and you guys, you're going to love this. It's a brand new addition to the schedule. Lee and Andrew Child, the author responsible for A Guy You May Have Heard Of, Jack Reacher, will be coming to the Killer Author Club. So stay tuned for that. For dates,
Killer Brothers.
Yeah, Killer Brothers. For dates, times, past episodes, etc., surf to killerauthorclub.com. But tonight, it's all about the Hitchhikers. So, starred reviews all around. Library Journal says Stevens offers a white-knuckle adrenaline ride. Fans of her previous novels will be enthralled. And those who enjoy the gritty intensity of Taylor Adams and Simone St. James will devour this gripping new thriller. And Kirkus also gave it a starred review. Always true to her modus operandi, Stevens keeps the ultimate twist firmly up her sleeve until the final pages. And Karen Slaughter, one of our favorites, she was just on the show. She says, a frightening and viscerally chilling road trip gone wrong story. So Chevy, clearly you're a devious and chilling killer. And now we need to know the answer to this killer question. How do you kill?
It's a good question. And I thought about it more in terms of my books. And I thought, I kill conveniently. So I noticed, I'm like, what is my, and I noticed that most of my characters, they take advantage of the situation or what is in their scenario. So I don't think I have any books where it's like, from the perspective of one person who's just going out and they have a very specific way. It tends to be accumulation of events or a series. And even if it is a person who's maybe done this more than once times, it's usually of convenience or opportunity. Mm-hmm. So, and if my characters are defending themselves and somebody should happen to die, it's usually something that was available in the area. So I guess that would be like more of an organic killing.
I love that.
Yeah. That happens in this book for sure. So
yeah.
So many questions. The book is set in 1976. Yay, yes. As a child of the 70s, I felt like I was going back in time. And so it's time before cell phones, GPS, constant connection. What drew you to this particular era? And how does the setting heighten how scary it is?
It was great for fear. It didn't initially start in the 70s. It was going to be present day. And I had a character who I wanted that she loved nostalgia and she loved vintage Airstreams because I was in my vintage Airstream phase. And I'm sure you ladies find when you're into something, it leaks into your book because you're passionate about it at that time. But then when I started writing, it was frustrating with the cell phones and it felt I'm like, how are they getting away with this? Because you have to explain why cell phones are suddenly non-workable you cannot go anywhere without being on camera now. I was saying to somebody the other day, it was like, they would have been on TikTok by the time they hit the first SO, so somebody would have been, it would be impossible. So I happened to pitch to my editor. I'm like, well, how would you feel about if I put this, in the 70s? And she was like, yeah. And I had never written historical before. So I was a little apprehensive, but also excited because it's a really cool time period. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't want to go back into like the 20s or 40s. It would have made a very different road trip, I think. But it's just, that's too much of a deep dive for me. I wanted to at least be able to more pop culture. I think also, I think it creates nostalgia for people and people love that feeling of nostalgia. I don't think many of us are going to get it if you go too far back, but I was also a 70s baby. And 1976 was the Montreal Olympics. So I chose that one because it gave a reason for my American couple who actually weren't initially American. They were Canadian, but to come up from Seattle and then go across. So it was a destination. It was also a really exciting time period within the world and Canada. And it gave me, something for for the characters to be doing and thinking about, and a reason and an excitement. And so, if you're going through a campground, you're going to see more Canadian flags and a different buzz. So that gave me a whole different vibe I could do with it. And, it was fun. It was fun to learn a lot about our time period. And so in the 70s is such a rich time. Like, it has so much so much cultural reference. I mean, there's a lot of TV shows or movies that still kind of go back to that time. And so I think even if people weren't in the 70s, they're familiar with what the 70s looked like. But it was a surprise for me too, because I grew up in the 70s, but I was young. So the 80s are probably more when I came as a teenager. So there was things I didn't know. Like, I didn't know we were miles because we're kilometers in Canada, but we were miles until like right after that time period. So there's things like that. And just trying to calculate money and time, and like, I had a character buying something, and she, put down a handful of bills. And then I'm like, wait a minute. And okay, so she put down 2 quarters.
Yeah, I was shocked by that. I was like, what? That it used to cost that much?
Yeah. And then
that little.
Looking up old Dairy Queen menus online, or finding out when did their logos change, and things like that. There was no female RCMP officers until I think 1974, and there were only 18 that graduated. Wow. At one point, I did have a female officer in here, but unfortunately, the female officers back then were just basically glorified secretaries too. They weren't even allowed to go do anything fun.
That's what I was figuring.
Yeah. So it was a very scary time period, in the fact that a special, BC is pretty rural at the best of times. It's still mountainous, and there's a lot of that, but so much more. It's so much more. There's no cell phone. There's no, the ability to get help. And you could literally be trapped in this scenario and nobody knows. It was, the vastness was much more vast, I guess.
And also that time, I mean, hitchhiking was still kind of okay, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
it was a norm. Like, I mean, granted, most people were kind of like, yeah, it's probably a bad idea, but it's the old lulled into a false, it's not going to happen to me. It's the false sense of security, right? That happens. And I mean, there's highways in Canada, which I've written about, and down your way, which were notorious. But, young people especially are very given to the, it won't happen to me.
Yeah.
But I did flip it though. Usually it's the hitchhikers that are in danger.
Right.
Swung that one around.
Yeah.
You sure did.
Yeah.
I'm seeing tons of questions fly by too about hitchhiking and why you chose that. Like, what was your inspiration? And if you've ever picked up a hitchhiker or hitchhiked yourself.
I have never picked up a hitchhiker, and I have never hitchhiked. But I did, and I think I posted about this recently, did do a stupid thing when I was about 16 and with a friend down on a beach in Victoria. And we accepted a ride from some young Navy guys to my friend's house. Now, in our mind, our dumb minds, we probably thought Navy would be extra safe. But that was not smart. So I don't think we actually went as far as to try to get the ride, but we accepted a ride. And I was very lucky that didn't go bad. But yeah. I didn't think, I'm going to write a hitchhiking book. I think it was just a matter of a couple taking over another couple. And so I think originally had a car break down, and then I got rid of the car, and it eventually evolves. Then they have no car. So that's how it happened.
I love it.
Okay. Right. So Alice and Tom are traveling the open road, as you mentioned, in an effort to kind of heal after a tragedy. So how did you balance the themes of grief and love with the escalating suspense and violence? I mean, that was to me like the best part of the book, that you kept that love alive too. So how did you do that?
It doesn't always happen. Like, I wish I had all my balls in the air at the same time, but I don't. Usually I wrote it one way, and then I'll read it again, or I'll have my critique partner or somebody read it through, and they'll be like, she's seeming too happy, or why aren't they sad anymore? So I definitely have to make sure I layer that all the way through, that it is meant to be healing. I didn't want a couple who were at complete odds. I wanted a couple who were at a transition in their relationship. They'd had a tragic event, and, that they were healing a little differently. I think especially back in that time period, talking and feelings and therapy and women's rights just weren't really a thing. So, I was able to show that how these people are forced in this situation to actually realize some things about themselves. And Alice, as it was, I had to get her husband a little out of commission because I really wanted to be more of the female.
Poor guy.
I know, right? But backseat. You 4 people in an RV is a lot to move around. Somebody had to be, and then it'd be like, how long has he been there? Oh, wait, actually, he's,
so I had to go to the bathroom or something.
Right? I'm like, oops, has it been 24 hours? Yeah. So I had to figure out stuff like that. But I really wanted her to have to, who am I if I'm not that anymore in my life? So there was that. And I did have to consciously layer that in. And I did want them to be a couple who realized just even so much more how important they are to each other. And it was nice to write, a real couple, and I didn't want them somebody to find out that somebody had hired a hitman or, I thought I would just keep it a little, they have enough going on.
Yeah. I don't think I could have handled that if there was a hitman too.
Right? The twist in the end is he is CIA or something.
Yeah,
no,
right.
That's not the twist.
No.
Let's not start rumors now.
There is a great twist at the end for sure.
There is a great twist at the end.
Yeah. So, and Simon and Jenny, they're in love too. They really have a very deep relationship. It's a little off in some ways, but they like these two very broken people found each other. So how did you approach creating, because they are villains, but you also made them very human. I found myself really, especially for Jenny, feeling some empathy for her. How did you do that?
Well, I work to do it, because so that they're not cookie cutters. I think as long as my villains have a motivation, like Simon, in his mind, everything he's doing was for the benefit of them. He didn't, he wasn't like rampaging. In his mind, these were just items, people, problems in the way, and they needed to be dealt with. So in his mind, it wasn't necessarily for pleasure. But, the problem with fast-paced books, I know you guys know this, is you can't go so far deep into it. If you write too much backstory, it annoys people. So it was, trying to find that line between explaining that to him. He was obviously a young guy who didn't have a very good upbringing, and it probably made him feel very powerful and in control. And he started enjoying that. And also he really loved his girlfriend, and in his mind, this is what he was going to do. And I think you hear about that, these young couples. There's been movies made of them, Bonnie and Clyde, not necessarily young, but you know what I mean? Like they get really caught up in it as well. And then it gets so far away from people. I think they don't know how to backtrack. So they're just like, well, we're in it now. We're going to go all the way in it. And so, how do you also, Jenny had to deal with the fact that she loved somebody who was doing not very good things, but he was doing them for her. So complicated.
Yeah, very complicated.
What do you do when you love a man who's doing really bad things?
Really bad things. Yeah.
For you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we talked before the show too about how this is your first book in 4 years, right?
Yeah.
And so do you start with an idea and it just takes you that long to write it, or does it take you longer to land on an idea?
Both. The Dark Roads took a long time, the one before this one. Dog in the background. Yeah. Because that one, I worked on another book for 2 years that I just could not get off the ground. I just kept trying. I could not get it. It just was not coming together. So in that case, that's why. And this one, has it really been 4 years? I was trying to do the math. I'm like, surely it hasn't been that long. It's 25. Maybe it actually took 3 years. My math is not quite mathing. Again, it was because in that book, the first year, I was trying it from the wrong person, the wrong narrator. I originally was going to have Simon be one of the narrators. But they get a lot not scary when you're in their mind.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
I was like, this is just not scary. Like, we know we're not scared if we think so. I kept trying because, when you have a talk with your editor, you get really excited about an idea. And sometimes I think because we worship our editors. We can get locked into something that they tossed out maybe, and that we think they want us to do, whereas they're just happy that it's scary. They don't really care if you switch it around, right?
They probably don't even remember by the time you turn it in.
Right? Like, oh, did I? Same. But you can get it in your head, and then it gets really hard to move past that and think, no. And again, that's experience. Just go, that's not working. Like, this is not working. I have to come at this a different way. So I think once I got my, the ball rolling, I was good to go. But it took a long time to figure out who was telling the story.
Yeah.
And that, unfortunately.
Do you write with an outline, or do you just kind of start and just go?
I used to do that, your synopsis and all that. And luckily, I've been with my same editor since 2008. So we have a pretty good relationship. If anything, she's the one that's a little bit more like, that sounds good, just go for it. And I'm like, can we have a few more conversations, please? So I've kind of come with like a hybrid. I generally will send her a few ideas. This idea was from the Napping Champ Dream. I was thinking about an idea and was just thinking about how scary it'd be if you're on an RV trip and you get taken over, like a carjacking, and it just kind of evolved from that. So I will pitch different paragraphs to her. I like to think I'm getting smarter about this, but I try to test my ideas a lot more. I know now what will fizzle, what works for me, what doesn't work for me, and I will try to be clear. So even if she and I have a conversation and I get off the phone thinking, yes, brilliant, if by the next day I wake up and I go, ooh, but, I try not to ignore the ooh, but. I will be like, okay, wait, something's telling me that there's a problem here. So I'm trying to pay more attention. But so I'll have my problem. I'll kind of have a gist of the area, and I tend to work in chunks until I get that right before I go on. Yeah. So I have spent time doing that. I think I watched a James Patterson how-to video. And so I spent a significant amount of time plotting out chapter by chapter by chapter by chapter, and then wrote the first 50 pages and realized it sucked.
Throw it out the window.
Yeah. So I find I have to do a hybrid of actually trying to write it first too, to see if the voice is even right.
I like that approach personally.
Yeah.
I agree.
You can come at it so many ways. Is it going to be first person? Is it going to be third person? Is she old? Is she young? So you got to feel your way through it a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you get to know the characters as you write, and
then you start knowing who wants what and how come, and ours are very, very clear too in who's going to be in the most fear. Like, that's the other thing, like, who do I want to scare the most? And that's the person who gets to tell that chapter, whoever's having the worst time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, it worked. I was scared.
Yeah, I'm like, well, things are going easy for that one. Let's switch over there.
Yeah, terrifying actually, but so good. Terrifying in a great way. Oh my gosh.
Yes, and Killer Chevy is giving away 2 copies of the Hitchhikers to lucky viewers in the US or Canada. Oh, Ziggy! So Canadian viewers, this is your chance. It doesn't matter where you're watching us. We scour the comments everywhere we stream, but please make sure to shout out where you're from when you answer this very difficult question. We made it true or false, so you have a 50% chance of getting it right. True or false, Chevy is a world-renowned napping champion.
Who could it be?
Gosh, I don't know. I don't think we even mentioned that, did we? Okay. The Killers are big fans of independent booksellers and want to support the ones our killer authors love. Chevy has chosen window seat books in, how do you say this? Nanaimo?
Yes, you said it. Good for you.
Oh, yes. Nanaimo. Okay.
You did.
So, Chevy, tell us why you love this bookstore so much.
They're in my community, and there's far and few independents now, and especially when you have somebody who's like not been an independent for 40 years either, like somebody willing to brave it in this time and age. And actually they've been doing very well. I think they just moved to a bigger store, and because they're in my community, they'll message me and ask me if I want to come in and sign books and everything, and they've been wonderful. So that's why.
That's awesome. That's the best.
Yeah.
We'll be dropping the link in the comments so Canadian viewers can order the Hitchhikers along with any others on your wish list. We'll drop the link to bookshop.org for those of you guys in the US. So check the comments.
Yes. And obviously, we as killers, we love to read, and we love it when you share what you're reading in our Facebook group. So post pictures, write reviews, ask for recommendations, and give yours. Tonight, though, we really want to know, Chevy, what are you currently reading?
I do not read as many thrillers as people assume. I think that's because we write them.
He's mad.
He has got a lot to say right now. I don't read them as much. I tend to read a lot of fantasy or women's fiction or different things. And it depends too. I'm currently writing a book that has a ghost narrator. So I will dip into some books like The Hacienda, like try to get some different feel of what else is out there in Gothics, But I was reading The Apprentice to the Villain, which is a fun book, a fun sort of fantasy world, edgy kind of way. It's done very well. I noticed it on Book Talk, I think. And that's what got me to that one. So that's my current, but when I'm writing a lot, I have a hard time reading, unfortunately. I have a harder time doing it, but that's a wonderful book. And I read lots of fantasy.
It sounds really fun. Sounds really good.
It's fun right now. So speaking of books, we have two fabulous releases we want to celebrate tonight. First up is Hardtown by Adam Plantinga. In Hardtown, the search for a missing family takes former Detroit cop Kurt Argento to a small desert community where nothing is as it seems and everyone wants to end him. We also have The Meaning of the Murder by Walter B. Levis. The Meaning of the Murder is a multi-layered story of a family recovering from trauma, a detective determined to solve a crime, and the price we pay for safety in the war on terror. Adam is giving away 2 copies of Hardtown to U.S. viewers, and Walter is giving away 2 copies of The Meaning of Murder to viewers in the U.S. and Canada. Canada, second chance tonight. Comment if you want in and tell us where you're from. Good luck. And don't forget to check out the killer's latest books. We Were Never Friends by Killer Kara, a thriller about a sorority reunion weekend turned deadly, is now available for pre-order.
And speaking of deadly parties, check out Heather's upcoming thriller, The Perfect Host, about an over-the-top gender reveal party that goes off the rails. Pre-order this one too, out in November.
Or travel to Amsterdam in Kimberly's latest, The Expat Affair, and follow 2 American expats into the deadly world of Amsterdam's diamond trade.
Yay. All right, you guys, if you're on Facebook, don't miss our private members-only group, the Killer Author Club. Every episode, we pull a name from the hat and give away exclusive swag. So join the group and check out all the goods at killerauthorclub.com. Tonight's winner is Renee Herskowitz. Renee, you are Renee. Thank you. Please send one of us killers your address and we'll send some swag your way. Want to be the next winner? Join us. Links coming up in the comments. And also a big killer thanks to Book Reporter for sharing the murdery love and talking about our show. Stay up to date on bookish news and events at bookreporter.com.
And Chevy, we have some really, really good news for you. You have survived the Author Club. Congratulations. Can you tell us where readers can find you?
I'm on Facebook most frequently, Instagram. I'm on TikTok a lot, but not necessarily posting on TikTok a lot. So I'm probably most active on Facebook is where you found me. My fan page.
Love it. Well, guys, that does it for tonight's episode. Thanks to everybody for tuning in. We will be back in 2 weeks with Tessa Weggert in the Killer Hot Seat to answer all our burning questions about her new thriller, In the Bones. In the meantime, please find us wasting entirely too much time on Instagram, Facebook, occasionally TikTok ourselves for times, upcoming schedules, past episodes, recipes, and merch. Surf to killerauthorclub.com. Thanks for being part of the club.
Bye.
That does it for tonight's show. Thank you for tuning in. If you'd like to catch our next show live, we're every other Tuesday night on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. For times, upcoming schedule, and to catch up on past episodes, visit us at killerauthorclub.com. Happy reading. Now get on out there and kill that TV.